Two valid points brought there by Darren, Ray. The contract situation, which has now been resolved, and also the lack of fans.
Well, I'll be very disappointed if suddenly you've just signed a new contract and then, oh, right, OK, I'll take it easy now. You know, as a player, you know, you strive for heights that you want to get to. He's captain of the side. So people are looking up to Pierre Aubameyang. And surely, you know, he's a massive part of the club if they're going to try and get back into that top four, which is obviously going to be very hard this season, but maybe next season, then he's going to be a big part of that. So, you know, fans are important at certain periods. You can argue that sometimes when you're having a bad time, you don't want the fans in because they can get onto the team's back and have a go. But certainly certain players thrive on supporters and get a buzz when they're getting the ball and make things happen. But, you know, as you rightly mentioned, Adam, I mean, you can't explain that from last season when obviously he was brilliant in the FA Cup final with no fans, and to the end of that season he was sensational just before he signed his new contract. But I just think he's going through that bad spell, and he's doing his best he can. You know, maybe he just has to try and roam a little bit more as a player because, you know, at times he's always on that left-hand side. I'd like to see him do what Eze did probably in the first half, go across into the middle at times and get into areas where he can be dangerous. And, you know, that might really upset the defenders who are playing against him because at the moment, it's pretty straightforward to play against Aubameyang because, you know exactly where he's going to run, you know where he's going to go, and he's going to cut inside on his right foot, and he's probably easy to mark at the moment for defenders. Too
predictable. You think Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, one of the most highly regarded strikers in the world, too predictable?
Well, I like to see him. I like to see the movement a little bit better. I mean, I can see exactly where he's going to run at the moment. But at times when he was in banging form, he would pop up in little areas where you didn't expect him to pop up. You know, in the cup final, when he scored that wonderful second goal, he was on the edge of the box and in a really good area. He wasn't on the left-hand side. He moved into an area where he picked the ball up, and then it was all down to his class, you know, opening his body out to put it in with his right foot, cuts in on his left foot, and a great little finish. But you know, Aubameyang, he's got to try a different... Sometimes when it ain't going well for you, you don't want to get isolated on one area. You've got to try and make runs across like a set of times. Come from the left-hand side. You imagine the fullback, you know, seeing Aubameyang make a darting run, and he runs across like a set, and the ball comes in from the right-hand side and he scores a goal. Or Tierney at times. So I think at times you've got to mix your game up. If it's not working for you and you're not getting into good areas to score goals, you have to try and make a chance yourself by doing something different.
Darren, anything you want to add on to that? Because I will say this, we've seen Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang also played centrally by Mikel Arteta. Again, no positive results from that either.
No, they're trying him in different positions. You know, as Ray said, you know when you're out of form as a player and you just got to keep going. You've got to keep trying. He's Arsenal's main man. He still brings fear into the defenders. You could see that with Joel Ward in the first half. They didn't really want to. He didn't really want to get tight because he knew he could get him behind. So he still brings that element of fear, and you could see he still hasn't lost his pace. Obviously, as a player gets older, you can lose your pace. We know that he hasn't lost it. It will come. He just needs to keep pushing on. We've seen players have barren spells before. If you don't come out of it, obviously there's going to be big questions to ask. But I'm confident, and I'm sure Ray is, that you still haven't seen the best of Aubameyang, and he will get out of this barren spell.